What's up guys, Next Stop 4 Jane here on a new video, and today it's been a while, but I finally found something to record and to film. Actually, before I start this, I'm going to put my phone on silent, it's in my pocket. But what I have done is I have gained a little bit of knowledge on this Ouija board. Those of you who don't know what a Ouija board is, basically it's a board with a bunch of letters that says yes and no, and like yes in the top left corner, no in the top right corner, or for you guys looking at me, it would be yes here, no here, and a bunch of letters, then numbers, and then says goodbye at the bottom. And basically what it is this little triangle thing with a little lens in it, and you put it on the board, and you do this saying, like you gotta move it around the board, do this saying before you start it, and then ask a question, and it'll like if you ask a yes or no question, it'll either move to yes or no, and if you ask a full-on question, it'll spell out something. But basically what it is just speaking to spirits, good or bad. But if you don't know how to play it, basically, like I just said, do it, and then when you're done, make sure you say goodbye. Otherwise, if you don't say goodbye, you're screwed. No, I'm kidding. A lot of people don't really believe in it. I, for one, do, because I don't know, you may call me ridiculous for believing it, but it's pretty cool, so I believe it. But I've gained some knowledge after yesterday seeing the movie Ouija, Origins of Evil. They explained something during the movie. And this is, before I say anything, this is going to be spoiling a little bit of it. But basically, what the priest said, because the kids go to a Catholic school, so their principal's father, forget his name, but he's a priest for the Catholic religion, I believe. Yes. And he explains how a Ouija board works. This is only a theory of mine, but because I gained this information from the movie. But what he said, before I go into that, you can either talk to good spirits or bad spirits. Supposedly, there's this one main spirit of the Ouija board, or whatever you want to call it. It's named Zozo. Basically, I think it's bad or good. I don't know. I haven't gained any knowledge on that, but you can talk to relatives that have passed, or it's hard to explain because what I just figured out and the information that I just gained, but you don't always know if you're talking to who it says, because it could always be a bad spirit. Because basically how the Ouija board works, the spirits read your mind, and when you ask a question, you're thinking the right answer as you're asking the question. So basically what the spirits are doing is reading your mind and just saying what you're thinking. In the movie, the priest asks what his wife's middle name was. Forget what he said it was, but instead of thinking of his wife's middle name, he was thinking of his mother's middle name, Lynn. But he asked, what's my wife's middle name? But he was thinking Lynn in his head, which is his mother's middle name. So it spells out Lynn. Then he asks if she's happy, something like that, and he brings up a fight. He says, what's the fight about? He totally cleared his mind. He explains all this in the movie. He cleared his mind as if you're looking at a TV and it's just static. And it said it didn't give an answer because it was reading his mind, saying what he was saying. So what it could, I'm just warning you, those of you who do use the Ouija board, if you are trying to talk to your past relatives, it could always be a bad spirit. You can ask, what was my you can say, Grandma, are you here? And it'll say yes. And you can ask, what is your name? And you will be thinking your grandmother's name or whatever relative's passed, and they'll be reading your mind, saying what you're thinking. So say your grandmother's name, or say your grandfather's name was Joseph, and you're thinking, you ask, what is your name if you are my grandfather? And you'll be thinking Joseph in your mind, and it'll spell out Joseph because it's reading your mind, saying the right answer or right answer. Now, if your grandfather's name was Joseph and you were thinking John, but your actual grandfather's name was Joseph, it will say John if it's not your grandfather. It's very confusing, but what I'm trying to explain to you guys, this knowledge that I have gained, basically what it is you could be talking to a good spirit and it could be tricking you, making you think that you're talking to a past relative. It's very, very weird, but it's very, very interesting. You have to go. You will understand more if you go see the new movie Ouija: Origins of Evil. I believe. I think there's more than one other Ouija movie. I think there's only one though. I don't know, but I just saw this one. And what the priest did was he tricked the spirit. Because, like I said, he was thinking of his mother's middle name instead of his wife's middle name, and what it said was his mother's middle name. So, he tricked it into saying the right answer, but it was actually the wrong answer. So what I'm trying to say, once again, you can be talking to your past relatives when it could be a totally bad spirit, and you're thinking, holy crap, I'm talking to my deceased grandfather or grandmother, whoever, my deceased relative, when it really could be a bad spirit. So you have to be careful when you're doing it, because once again, you could be talking to a bad spirit. So to prove that it is a past relative, think of something that nobody knows. Like, if nobody knows your past relative's middle name, ask what is that past relative's middle name, but think a different name in your head really hard. Like, think of it really hard. And if it says the person's actual middle name instead of what you're thinking, then that's your deceased relative. But if it says the name that you're thinking and that's not really your relative's middle name, then you know it's not really your relatives. So it's very interesting, it's very complicated, but I'm just trying to tell you, those of you who are trying to use a Ouija board, be careful, because it could always be a bad spirit. And make sure, if you're using a Ouija board, say goodbye when you're done. Like, say, I'd like to say goodbye, and then it'll move and say goodbye. But don't mess with your friends. Like, if you're seriously trying to do it, don't mess with your friends and push it. Make sure your fingers are really, like, light on the triangle thing. And I don't know if it really works in real life. I've never tried it. I've never used a Ouija board. But in the movies, you can, like in the newest movie, the girl looked through the circle in the middle of the thing and she could see, like, spirits. So if you can do it in the real world, that's pretty cool, but I don't know if you can. But basically what this video is about a Ouija board. I've never done a video like this. I know it's kind of ridiculous, it's out of the blue, but now I just gained a lot of information from what I just saw yesterday. Now, you may be thinking, oh, you saw a movie, big deal, you think you know so much. Basically, yeah, but also, if you actually listened, you might understand what I'm trying to say. I may be thinking, oh, I know so much now that I saw one movie out of all of them, but that one movie gave a lot of information. So, what I'm trying to say, be careful when you're using a Ouija board, because if you think you're talking to a good spirit or a deceased relative, you could be talking to a bad spirit. So one more time before I go, if you want to prove that it's a deceased relative or somebody that you know, ask what is their middle name, or something that they don't even know, and think something totally different. So if you asked what is their middle name, think of, say their name was Josh, think of John. Or Bob, think of Bob. Totally different, sounds totally different. If their middle name was Josh, think of Bob. If it says Josh while you're thinking Bob, that means it's obviously them. But if it says Bob while you're thinking Bob, and that's not really their middle name, then you know you're not talking about a bad spirit, and then you ask, who is a spirit? So, before I go, make sure you be careful. But that is the end of this video, guys. If you guys like this video, or if you guys found it very interesting, leave a like. If you want to see more videos or vlogs, subscribe. Make sure if you want to see my uploads when they come out, turn on post notifications, and comment any suggestions for any videos that you want me to do. But I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.